Welcome once again. This is Blender today. Yes, we are here together another week. I'm a bit late, and you will think that after doing this every week for several weeks, it gets any easier. Nope. It's just as hard as releasing Blender. Blender 279A was released last week, and there is already one bug that will make it so Blender 279B will have to come out in a bit. Not now, not immediately, but in the near future. There is a bug in the I think it's something related to cutting strips in the video sequencer. There was a bug because it's tackled already. The problem is that this wasn't tackled in time. So if you are a video sequencer user and you didn't try the release candidate versions enough, then you should feel bad now. No, of course not. You should feel great because the Blender 2.8 code quest was is finished. No, not the code quest itself, but the campaign to get the people on board to get 2,500 rockets sold. So the main goal was to sell 1,000. That happened in 4 days, and then the stretch goal, which was like something impossible to do, was actually met in like 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks, from Monday, one Monday, second Monday, and then it was on Friday. So yeah, it was it's crazy, really crazy. So we're live. Leave your questions here. Where are you watching this from? You're Argentina. Wow. Okay, must be afternoon there. So cheers with I'm having a drink here. Nothing fancy, just a good old brand, Dutch brand. Try for 5,000. No. Well, actually, the 2,500 was some sort of like I wanted to do the 2,000 and then maybe 3,000 because 2,000 was crazy and 2,500 was impossible. But the community proved me wrong. The support that this campaign has got is crazy. It's the level of support of people sharing and well, buying the rockets themselves, which they're still on sale, by the way. You can still get them. They will be printed only not so many more left, I think. I don't know the exact number, but there is 2,500 plus the ones that gets sent to the sponsors. The main sponsors also get rockets, and there will be the gold sponsor also get rocket, but I think there will be some left in the store. So if you didn't get yours, you should. We even printed stickers just to make it a bit more fun. It's I don't know if you get to see that, probably not, it's out of focus, but they're like little stickers that are like the ones in the campaign here at the bottom, if you can see it there. So nice for the laptops. So if you come to the Blender conference, you might get this, and if you support the code quest, you're also gonna get this. All right. So that's it for the code quest. I just wanted to mention that they're still on sale. There's new sponsors too. There is platinum sponsors, gold sponsors. There is really a lot of people showing support, especially the companies. And 2 of the secret members of the team has been announced. Jeroen Bakker, here, if you get to see it, I'm gonna make it bigger. You might have heard his name. It goes as @mind usually on Twitter, and it's in charge of the compositor mainly. Back in the days, there was also a campaign like so long ago to renew the compositor, and he was involved in that. And then Julian Severin, if he's working on usability and the user interface. So for example, in the node editor, when you have, for example, just a little feature that Julian did, if you have a node, if you have nodes and then you add Oh, I want to mix it. Something in the middle, and they move magically. Well, that is Julian. Liverpool, UK, Canada, Germany, Algeria, Israel, Finland, Italy. Okay, I will have to learn how to say welcome in all those languages. Benvenuto, that I know. And there will be actually more people announced. We can't say it right now, but there will be more people involved. It's gonna be huge. It's already 8 people, plus the people from Blender Institute. It's gonna be quite big. What are your biggest hopes for the code quest? I made a little graphic too that I brought with me, so maybe we can play with it. I downloaded the build because for some reason the version that I had here wasn't rendering the same. Hopefully I didn't forget the textures this time. Let's see. Here. Got the let's see. Buildbot. These graphics are going to be included as part of the little rocket, and they will also be available on the Blender Cloud. Somebody was asking if I should make a tutorial about it. A tutorial about what specifically? It's not really that that hard. Oh, it's composite. I use the compositor and I regret every time I open Blender, because Blender, don't be silly. Don't try to composite as soon as you all open Blender. I didn't render. There's no render. Well, maybe if there was an image node, but if there is only render layers node, you should skip compositing, dear Blender. All right, this is the file. It's so simple. I could make a tutorial, but it's fairly simple. The mesh underneath is just subdivided lots of time, and then I added some noise to it. It's a it's just the noise that you add with the mesh itself. So the process, basically, if I will have to redo this, I would add a plane, then subdivide it lots of times. So maybe I could even add a grid, then subdivide it a lot. 10 is the maximum. Can't even go further. There you go. And then I just added noise. So I always forget where in the menus is noise. So I just search with spacebar noise, and then yeah, you need a texture to be assigned in order to deform it. That's a bit silly. Then I remember that it's not noise, because noise takes a texture as input to deform the mesh. So instead you can use randomize. So there is this category transform, then randomize, and that will make it random. Then F6 to tweak some of the settings. And that's basically how I started with the default mesh to make this low polish looking thing. But of course my mesh was all quads. So what I did is add a few modifiers here to this mesh. Is this fun, by the way? Should I go into the Blender news, or is it fine that I just show the blend file here? Let me know. Let's see. So yeah, the settings. Yeah, I'm using maybe too many modifiers. The first one is a triangulate, because I want to have triangles because they look nicer when in the low poly style. Let's see if I can. So this is the style that I'm going for. I'm on a laptop here, so there you go. So I could do renders from everywhere actually. But yes, the modifier stack is pretty simple. There is triangulate to make little triangles. Then there is smooth because I made a few too many changes. Maybe I could just apply this because they really don't add anything. There is a smooth that the changes done underneath, they get a bit more flattened. So I didn't want to destroy. I didn't have a lot of time to make this, so I didn't want to destroy my mesh. So I will just add the smooth and then add subsurf to add more fine detail in these knock craters. Then decimate because it's awesome, because yeah. And that way it will reduce the amount of polygons in my mesh, and it will be a bit nicer. This style, it will break a little bit of the so perfect, the mesh so perfect. And then a displace. The displace is actually what makes the craters. If I get rid of most of the stuff, the craters, the big ones, as you can see here, they're made with the displace. There are two displays. There is one that makes the tiny displays. This is without anything. This is the big craters, and there is the smaller ones. And the smaller ones, I wanted to have it everywhere, but then I wanted not to be in where the guys are, because I don't have intersections with the meshes, and yeah, it should. Oops. I had. If you go back this video, there was a little RenderMan teapot that just fell. Okay. Am I ranting too much with this? Anyway, this is how the learner surface is set up. When will the fracture modifier by Scorpion 81 officially implemented in Blender? Well, there is a branch. There is. I don't think there is any estimates, but 2.8 for sure. I think we can just assume that everything will be there for 2.8. What else? We will get some improvements on multi-resolutions in the way to support more subdivisions. More subdivisions on the multi-resolution. Do you mean like more efficient? Like it won't allow you to use more subdivisions? I'm not sure. News, please. Okay, I will go to the news. I'll stop with that and then go to the this week in Blender. I'm a bit lost here because the last week has been a bit crazy with the release of Blender 279A plus the end of the code quest. It has been a bit busy at work, so I mean, we'll see the features, the new changes together. How do I find out about this stuff? Is basically in the Blender 2.8, not the code quest, but the 2.8. So when you read more about 2.8, at the bottom, or you can just click on stay up to date, and here you will find all the meeting notes, links to the meeting notes, and the links to, for example, the This Week in Blender, the YouTube channel, the Blender developers Twitter account, which is pretty active, and the developers blog, which is code.blender.org. Is there no way for you guys to bypass WDDM? I try to stay on Ubuntu. I can't. Breaks my heart how much slower Blender is on Windows. I don't know. No, actually, you're asking Sergey and Campbell, and both are using our Linux developers. When will the new UI be pushed to master? What new UI? There's no new UI. There's yeah, no, there's no new UI. What you're seeing here is the Blender developers blog. I gave it a little revamp this afternoon. just to keep it on par with the Blender, with the actual Blender website. So it's using the same font and the same everything. But it's not about the looks, it's about the content. So the EV FAQ is the latest document that you can see there, the little blog post that you can see in the code blog. It's written by Dalai Felinto and it's pretty awesome because many of the questions that people usually ask here on the live streams or usually everywhere online, you get answers here. For example, can I use Eevee for my cycles project? Yes, of course, because they're supposed to be compatible one to each other, but the cycles is for like final render. Eevee is more like for viewport previsualization. Of course, you can press F12 and you can have a Eevee render, which will be much faster, of course, but they can work together. The idea is that when you switch from one engine to the other, that they don't look so different, that they look as close as possible. Is Eevee a complete render engine? Yes, it is. You can render animation, frames, compositing, sequencer, everything really. It's like the OpenGL render we used to have, but on steroids. And this, I don't know if you have seen it, but it's amazing. It's a architectural test, which you can find usually on YouTube, or you can find in the blender.org/ code.blender.org in the blog post. It's there, it's embedded there. It has refractions, as you can see, it has reflections, it has what it looks like, environment lighting, like bounces even, glow, for sure, bloom. Pretty awesome. Is there any plan for adding matcaps more easily and also improvements on sculpting? Also, is there some list of the projects of the Google Summit of Code already? No, actually, let me go to the meeting notes because it's explained there. The latest meeting notes say that the proposal submissions starts on the 12th of March. So if you're here, 12th of March, so next Monday, not this Monday, but the one after, that's when you can start submitting your, well, the students can start submitting your proposals. I meant the new design. When is the new design going to be? Which one? Flatty Dark? My theme? I can put it up anytime, actually. I still want to tweak some stuff, but for that I need to use Blender, and I haven't been using Blender in a relaxed way, only for making this stuff at work, but it's been a bit busy. What else? No, that's it. Actually, the news this week are pretty lame regarding Blender. The meeting notes from today, but in this week in Blender there are a few more interesting stuff. For example, there is speedups. There is a cycle speedup for dense volumes. Who would have known? This is all in master, by the way. So if you're using Blender 279, this is in 279-ish, like not the release. It won't. All these optimizations, they are not going to be part of 279B at all. They are not in 279A. They're in the development after that, but before 2.8. At some point, this version master is going to be merged with Blender 2.8, and then it will become 2.8. Basically, will become master. You should let us test it. Put it on GitHub or something. Maybe the Flatty Dark theme. I could put it on. Is that how people test themes nowadays? Okay. Yeah, optimizations and cycle. There is a little addition. This is in not in Blender Master. This is in 2.8. There's that now you can specify. One of the advantages of having workspaces in Blender 2.8 is that the workspace is more than just the arrangement of the windows. So in 2.7 you have screens where you can split your windows, and then you have all your editors split in one screen. In 2.8, this concept of a screen, it's still there. It's called a layout, and it's part of a workspace. So workspace, it contains different arrangements of your editors, but also contains other settings like the render engine for that workspace. So for example, you can say this workspace is for previsualization, so I set it to render with Eevee. But my main scene, the one when I press F12, is using cycles or whatever. So that way you can have them split. And also, one of the great things is that these workspaces could have their own key maps, for example, or they could have their own add-ons. So some add-ons can work in this workspace. For example, if you're modeling or doing anything, add-ons can be contained in a workspace. So sometimes you have too many add-ons and they conflict with each other. The keys are conflicting because someone is using, I know the Q key, because it's all the way in the QWERTY keywords. It's all the way to the left. It's easy to use. It's right there, and it usually is not set to anything in Blender. So many add-ons use it and abuse it. So having that per workspace is much better. So it's pretty simple actually. How do you enable them, or how you set the add-ons? This will have to be done by the add-on developer in which workspace it goes. But basically in the workspace settings, you can choose the render engine, for example, which is now set to Clay, but if you set it to Eevee, it's Eevee. And then you have the workspace add-ons. So that way you can do, okay, in this workspace I'm gonna have the node wrangler and the cycles. Maybe cycles can be handy, but then in another workspace I can just change it, and then I will have no add-ons enabled, or I can maybe have the Blender Cloud add-ons in this case. So it's add-ons per workspace, which is pretty nice. Let me read some more of the questions. You can add me at the Blender today, so it will appear in orange, and that way I can reply. I can find the question easier. San Diego, California. Calligraphic line rendering real-time NPR to go with Eevee and grease pencil. Yes, well, that would be freestyle, and it's at the moment it's not updating. It's not like Eevee ready, but there are plans, and hopefully that will be done any time soon, because freestyle is freaking awesome. How bright is the future of Blender in terms of funding? It's brightest as it's ever been. You've seen the code quest, how in only 3 weeks was completed. If I go to the code quest, it's so fast how in 3 weeks the target was reached. The target to extend the mission, actually, not to make it. The target to make it was done in 4 days, and the store where you actually buy all the stuff but run out of stock. Many of the things run out of stock. There is like stickers for the fridge, for example, those run out of stock. A few t-shirts, they have to be reprinted. So yes, it's doing pretty well. And not only that, but also the development fund is doing fine. The development fund, there is now support for sending cryptocurrencies, and people are being very generous about it. If you follow Ton on Twitter, you'll see what is that background he's using? Okay. Anyway, he always likes to tweet about those, to share those nice updates, like, hey, people are giving us cryptocurrencies and stuff. Giving the Blender Foundation for keeping for keeping Blender alive. There, for example, Blender Foundation accept Bitcoin donations, and then 14 people donated $800, like out of nowhere, just the moment they was added. So that is pretty nice. It's very generous. More questions, but I will say it's pretty bright. Will I be able in 2.8 split screen so I can work on ClayEngine or Eevee but have cycles updating on the other part of the screen? I can now in 2.79. Not yet, but that is possible with multi-windows. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to break Blender right now, but that's cool. That's part of the process. So here I have cycles, and here I have cycles, even though it's set to because it's the same workspace. So if I have different workspace, so say I have default here, and then I have Eevee, let's say Clay, for example, and here I have cycles. So you see it's the same. I can duplicate this, and you see I'm duplicating everything is kept in sync, but then in one window it's the ClayEngine, and on the other one is cycles, good old cycles, even though it looks like Eevee. There you go. Can't even tell the difference nowadays. Let's see what else. Currently is working on freestyle. Yes, freestyle real time. Yiming Wu is working on freestyle real time. Awesome. This is the dopest source for all things Blender. Thank you. Actually, this is what I'm doing now is part of Blender Today. Blender Today is a website where you can also see more of the Blender news. You can submit your own news, and they will be voted up and down. There is no filter, so you can vote. Well, people will filter you. If it's great content, it will go up. And there is also a chat if you want to hang out with other Blender peeps. There is in the front page, you can see the today on blender.chat. In case you didn't know, the blender.chat is a website there where you can chat with other people about Blender or anything really. There are a few channels already. It started not long ago, so it's a bit it's mainly the Today channel. There is a channel for Spanish speaking people where they it's one of the most active ones actually, since the community didn't have a place where to chat, so it's pretty active. And there is also Flamenco for the render engine, the render farm, the render manager that is used in Blender Cloud, with Blender Cloud. Keeping track of all the collections and their intersection with all the workspaces seems difficult to manage. When will collections be in a state where we can test in actual workflow? I think they will be pretty soon. We've been working together with the Live Felinto about the workflow with collections. Making a collection, removing is much better than what it used to be. So if you see in the outliner where we are currently managing this, it's better than what it used to be. You can make collections, you can drag objects to collections, then you can drag collections inside other collections, so that way you're managing much better. You change the visibility of each one of the collections. It's much better than what it used to. You can even, like, if you have another object, you can right click and then you can remove it from the collection or move it to another collection. So it's a bit better than what it used to be, but still is not 100% in the workflow. Like I wouldn't use it now for production right now, because there are a few tools that are needed. For example, the M for moving to another collection, which is basically just drag and dropping in the outliner. It needs an operator. It needs something that you press M, for example, like the key we're used to in Blender 2.7 to move to another collection, to another layer in 2.7 language. And those things are what actually make Blender faster. So yes, it will come, but not at the moment. I think we've been working together with Dalai, but Dalai is in Brazil, I'm in Amsterdam, so it's a bit slow to have this feedback. That's why we're doing the 2.8 code quest. Well, you've seen it, all the developers are going to be here, so we can pester them and have them here, the team. All of these developers will be happy to have artists around, because in the Blender Institute we have a movie running. We have Spring. If you haven't seen it, in cloud.blender.org you can see not here, but the open movies that are running right now, and Spring is one of them, and this is happening here. So right now they're using 2.7, but the idea is that they will use Blender 2.8 once it's a bit more mature. The not only Blender but also the project itself right now is in layout phase, so there's no big point in moving to 2.8. There's no really advantage. Well, there could be, because doing layout is that part of the process of making movies where you go from the storyboard, drawn storyboards. Sorry, my English is. It's almost 10 p.m. on a Monday. I'm allowed to fail my English. Layout is that process where you go from drawing your storyboards into 3D for the first time. So you have to make these very simple animations with the character, something that is fast in the sense of easy to set up. So you shouldn't spend too much time in making detailed animations. So you just put the character, put the environment, and maybe just prepare a bit of the camera. Think more of the camera other than the acting of the characters, but also think about the timing. So that can be done with 2.7 easily. There is really no advantage to do it in 2.8. Besides that, 2.8 right now, the animation in 2.8 is not ready yet. Like animation itself, with modifiers and armatures and skeletons and stuff. Although I would say that if we were to do layout with Blender 2.8 right now, not right now, but when Blender 2.8 is ready, it will be awesome, because then it means that you can use very advanced shadings. Like for example, you could use lighting in your layout, so you can already add a lamp and have some shadows thanks to Eevee, or you could do depth of field. That's also pretty nice. Well, you can do that in 2.7, but it's not the same. All those things, if you're doing layout, having a bit of depth of field is nice, having a bit of motion blur is nice. Blender Eevee supports camera motion blur, so the camera moving fast and the objects moving from the camera view. That works, but not for the formation. I think it's only for objects. So yeah, there are advantages. There will be advantages if we could use it right now, but we can't. So we'll have to wait. More questions. I mean the tabs which you showcase on your website. Oh yeah, ui.pablovanquez.art. This is my website. Not my website, but it's a section of my website where I test UI, basically UI changes. But there is this is all on GitHub, by the way, so if you wanna check it out, you should, and try to give some feedback or make your own changes. It's all HTML and CSS, so it's fairly simple to edit if you're familiar with web making. What you say is about this, right? The tabs on top. Well, this is not yet implemented. It will be once, I guess, in the code, during the code quest. But yes, they will be totally in the that's That's how to crash Blender. Open the user pref. Yes, and I just compiled. Let's see if I go the factory settings, user preferences. Yeah, it's crashing right now. Blender 2.8, by the way. I wanted to show, but I think I have the top bar render branch ready to run. Yes, always. And I don't have a top bar. Huh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm gonna try factory settings, otherwise factory startup. Yes, there you go. It's up here. So this is the very, can I open? Yes. It's just making the UI bigger. So these are the tabs that you mentioned. This is a work in progress. It's nowhere near finish. There are many glitches, but it's a proof of concept basically. Like for example, you add tabs and they are ordered by alphabetically, which is weird. They shouldn't. And yeah, there are many things to fix, but CodeQuest. Now this is the answer to everything. Before the answer was 2.8. Now the answer is CodeQuest. It's gonna be awesome in the CodeQuest. More questions. What do you know about the future of Sculpt on Blender 2.8? What Blender Foundation will improve? About Sculpt, what's wrong with Sculpt? No, I know sculpting could be better, but I think there are other parts of Blender that need attention right now. I don't know, maybe for the Summer of Code there will be some how to say, some friendly victim that will take over the amount of work that is to do Sculpt. But Sculpt is fairly, you know, it's contained, so maybe there will be some improvements there. I don't know, but Blender itself right now, there are too many other big topics open, such as Dependency Graph, which is the heart of Blender. The connection between everything in Blender is a dependency graph. That is main priority for that's what one of the core developers, Sergey Sharevin, is working on right now. Dependency graph. That is like essential. Without dependency graph, there wouldn't be anything. No animation, no sculpting, no nothing basically, because everything is connected. Everything is dependent on everything. So not right now, but also what are other core developers working on? Asset manager, that's also very important. Even I would argue it's more important right now that because it doesn't exist in Blender than sculpting that exists. It could be better, it could support more millions of polygons, it could have better tools and brushes and stuff, but it's there. The asset manager is not even there, so we need to work on that. And what else? Well, workspaces also have to work on. That's another core developer. I'm trying to think of the Blender core developers, the one that are right now working full-time via the development fund or Blender Cloud. And no, those are the main. Well, Dalai is working full-time, but he's is a manager of the Blender, is coordinating the Blender 2.8 project, and also is working on the collections, for example. We are working together with the Dalai in a new blog post that will happen in the code blog. We're here, I think I showed it before. Here, just like the FAQ that Dalai wrote, which is awesome. I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen this one? Have you seen this demo? Maybe if I show it, it's pretty awesome. But this is Grease Pencil. Anyway, Dalai wrote this, and we're working together in a new blog post that will be how is Blender 2.8 pre-CodeQuest. So how is 2.8 right now before the CodeQuest? So then we can make another blog post after the CodeQuest and see how it compares. It's that will be pretty interesting because yes, it's hard to beat the excitement that happens around 2.8, right? Everything will be better in 2.8. CodeQuest. chat is also really nice if you need help. Caetano has helped me a lot. Awesome. Yeah, Caetano is also always hanging out there. There is a support channel in here in the Blender chat. I almost forgot. What else? Oops, I scrolled a bit too much. Will there be any updates for the fluid simulator anytime soon? Well, there is the Manta Flow, right? Blender. Last Blender conference. Where can I see it? Where can I see it? Yeah, Blender Manta Flow. What was the name? Next Gen Fluid Simulators. You should check out this talk. It's pretty awesome. Basically, it's just awesome fluids. There is a user that I think is in the chat right now, Bone Studio, that he made a video tutorial about how to use it. I think in graphical.org, you can find MantaFlow. Yes, there is Blender Fluid MantaFlow branch that you can try it yourself. How do we go in wireframe mode in 2.8? Where is the button? There is no wireframe yet. Before you go crazy and start sending letters to Blender. No, Blender wireframes will come, but they're just not there yet. Thanks for the update. No, thank you, Roger. Greetings from New York, Millie. Awesome. I need to go to New York. I have a friend that is moving there, so I now have no excuse to go. Alright. Would the tabs work with the multi-windows that you showed off? Yeah, well, actually the tabs is basically workspaces. So what I was doing before, here with the top bar, what I'm changing here basically is workspaces. So if I make another window, I can change the workspace. This one is using the general workspace and this one is using the animation workspace. So yes, it works. Will it be possible to import and export OpenVDB from and to another software like Houdini? No, not that I know right now. People should ask these things to Houdini as well. They should ask like, hey, when are you going to support Blender? Instead of asking Blender to support Houdini, they should ask Houdini to support Blender, right? I mean, after all, Houdini is the one getting the money. Is there still a plan to do eye candy workspace for modeling with a floor, some sort of reflection? Yeah, that's the workbench engine. I think Jeroen Bakker was related to that. Well, I don't know. I think it was. It would be awesome. But yes, actually that's one of the things that's holding on the wireframe development. I think it's part of that workbench engine. But yes, that needs a lot of design. So whenever this kicks off, we'll make maybe a thread in the developer.blender.org Blender workbench engine. So here in the design document, that is the workbench engine. Yes, this is all there is, but at least there's something. It says something. What else? What is the difference between clay and cycles render? Well, they are completely different. The clay engine is a test basically. So when I'm going to open 2.8, so the clay engine is this engine that looks, it's not even like clay, it's basically like a matcap. So when Blender 2, the development for Blender 2.8 started, one of the main big tasks, huge tasks, was to update the OpenGL, so the drawing of the whole Blender itself, basically. So the version of OpenGL that Blender was using back then, it was a bit too old. So in order to update all of Blender and all the drawing of the vertices and the lamps and the everything, basically the grid and everything, without going into detail, without going into how the shader is actually the shader for like the specular in the here in this case in the monkey, or how it is affected by light and everything. Before going into those details, there needed to be something simple that they can upgrade, and that's how the clay engine was born. It's probably not gonna be there until the end. Probably it will be replaced with the workbench engine, the one that we were talking about, which is like the solid mode in Blender, like this good old solid mode, but in a in all its glory. So it will be like a simplified Eevee. So you have the speed of a simple viewport, but you can have some things. You can have maybe some shadows, some reflections, some simple stuff, not the all subsurface scattering and bloom and all the stuff that Eevee can do, like a simplified Eevee. But with all the power of the new OpenGL version, because right now for Blender 2.8 the minimum OpenGL version is OpenGL 3.3. There, Bone Studio. He's talking about the MantaFlow and branch. Actually, so you should check out his channel. He has a video about MantaFlow. Hi Pablo, we are teaching Blender as a selective subject in computer science and at an associate degree in new media technology at the City University of New York. Wow, since 2014. Let's see. The graphical build from MantaFlow is a bit outdated. Go to github.com/sebas. Well, then it should be updated in graphical, so more people know. They really should consider implementing UI mockup in Blender. Thank you, Tyrone. I hope we do. Well, I'm part of the UI team, so I can, but I'm not a developer, so I can only go that far. And also Blender is very democratic, so it's we all need to agree. I mean, maybe it can look nice or pleasing, but maybe it's not functional. We have to try. I can't wait for the code quest when having people over and just try things and use Blender. I will be doing more videos. We still haven't announced anything, but I will be doing like this sort of videos, but all regarding the code quest. So anything that happens around the code quest, it will be posted and will be a bit more we'll try to share as much as possible, let's say. I don't know if in a daily basis, maybe the daily will try, but that's maybe a bit too much. Especially if I have to do this later. It will be tough. Oh, actually we are reaching an hour. Okay, I will answer the last few questions and then we'll wrap it up. Well, I missed a few questions. Okay, here. Any plans for using real-time global illumination instead of light probes? Why? I think, but light probes make your life easier because it's all content and you can contained, and yeah, isn't it what all the good big game engines use? That multi-window is a great quality of life improvement for people with many monitors. Yes. And that's what people usually use, a few monitors, especially if you're an animator. You want one screen to have the camera view, maybe the texture of the character, so you can see if the texture is distorting a bit when you're moving, when you're animating a face. And then in the other side you can have just a plain solid mode with your bones and everything, but then having two different render engines basically in each one. Yep, I agree with graphical update, but I don't get permission to upload from admin. He does not answer the email. What? Graphical admin. I'm the graphical admin. You should. I will give you access. Don't worry. No, I'm not the. I'm a graphical admin. It's together with Daniel Salazar. All right. What else? For compile multiflow in Linux, one script on my GitHub. People are jumping in. The 1000 aesthetics make sense. What makes sense when you hope to see, however, is the properties tab to be more highlighted. The properties tab. So this tab. Yeah, it should be a bit more expanded into something else. I want to have more information about what you have in the screen. Right now, all we have is these stats, which are okay, but they're hard to follow because they're texts. They're numbers that change in length. Sometimes you have 100, 1,000, then it's longer, so it makes the things change all the time depending on what you have selected. So it's hard to follow. You have to actually focus in there. So maybe that. And something I would also like to see in Blender 2.8, which is not even planned, is nowhere. It's not even planned. Is a good notification system for Blender 2.8. I don't know if other softwares have that are not phones, or. Well, yeah, I've seen it. Some of them have like some sort of, mainly websites have it. This concept of a notification of when something is done, is finished. Blender has it up here, so when you're rendering, it has this thing in there, and then it tells you, it pops up for a bit and then goes away. But then you don't have track of all of that. You have, yeah, the info window, but it's a bit hidden. It's not like an actual notification system. So that's something I would like to see in Blender 2.8. Blender makes more sense on multiple monitors. Yes, I only use one monitor by the way at work when using Blender. I don't know why. I still don't get used to multiple monitors. I use multiple monitors when making websites because I have one vertical. It's two 24 inches, 124 regular and 124 is tilted. Here at my home, I'm at home by the way, this is a 27-inch screen. Are the theme settings getting reworked? Yes. Yep. In developer.blender.org there is a fantastic thread. If I log in, and I don't have, I need to log in again. Last week I was doing the live stream and the computer started hanging because it was running out of memory basically. So I went from Chrome to Firefox. This is my first week, maybe a few less than a week, 5 days using Firefox. It took me a while to get used to it, but I'm getting there. There's a few things that you have to tweak in order to get it perfect, but I'm actually liking Firefox, and it uses way less memory than before. And right now, last week I was running out of memory because I had too many tabs open in Chrome and it was using almost all my 16 gigs of RAM. And now I have almost the same amount of tabs open and I'm only running 40% of the RAM. Like in total, I have 60% free. So Firefox Quantum, doing good. I had to add a few add-ons, but still, it's pretty good. And the user preferences settings. Let's see if I can find it. Otherwise, we just wrap it up. User preferences. How's the search in Fabricator? Fast, not for what I can see. More questions. NPR support. We need better NPR support. Yes, we need better NPR support. But still, by default, NPR means... Oh, here's the... no, this is not the main tasks. Branches, user, the redesign. Yeah, there is a branch. Oh, I could have compiled that. Oh, bummer. The one with the new preferences, basically. Anyway, basically it's a redesign of the user preferences. So right now in Blender, the let's see, yes, Severin, let's see, it's a the user preferences is using the same design that we here's this task, redesign. So the idea is to do something more like this. You put the settings on one side and then the content on the other side, which makes so much sense. You can even expand, you can have more sections. Right now, the way the settings are done in Blender, when it runs, it's a bit silly. Like these tabs on top, it's okay, but you can't keep adding tabs forever, right? Because it's an horizontal list. So you're gonna run out into a limit. And also depends on the size and everything. But if you make it scrollable, you make it on the sidebar, then you can fit in more stuff. And this design actually goes back to, I think I left a comment here with the screenshot because it's just funny that this is how Blender looked in 2.27. In 2.26, the one before, 26, so this is 2004-ish. All the settings were just in the info window, like just there. And in 2.27, they added tabs. Well, tabs, some sort of, it's like the right radio buttons. So a little bit of story here, history in Blender in this episode of Blender Today. Toon shading. The shader needs to be more conveniently adjustable. What about OSL? Blender actually does make some nice toon work, but the workflow is so much of a hassle. Yes, that needs work. But yes, let's hope there is so many things in Blender that need support. There is NPR, there is Blender Game Engine, there is video sequencer. Most of all, I made the last week after these live streams, I also do another live stream in Spanish, and I ask a question at the end, like if you have a genie, you know, like those lamps that you can brush and you will have a genie coming out, and I will tell you, like here I have some special effects. So I'm the genie. If you could have one wish granted for something to improve in Blender, what would it be? Just one. You can't say I want everything, UI and NPR and sequencer. No, just the one. What would you choose? And I asked in Spanish, and I did I counted all of the answers and everything, and the sequencer won in that demographic. After that was the game engine and sculpting and painting. People wanted to have Substance Painter basically inside of Blender. So yeah, there was a bit of everything. So I want to know in English, if you're watching until the end now, if you had one wish, what would you choose? This is not gonna make any difference. I'm just an artist here asking. It's not that I can develop anything. It's just I'm curious. What would you do? So with this said, I will leave now. I will have a bit of a rest. It's Monday night. I hope you have a good evening here, and it's always fun to hang out. So let's do it again. What about doing it next time? Same place, same time. It's good? It's good. Then without further ado, let's get to it. Let's say it's about time for Gillet to come. If you're using headphones, watch out. Yes, it's that time of the day. I will see you later in a week.